Right, what have we got here? Right, today we are looking at a Lumintop, and they're calling it an EDC flashlight. That's just a description, but the actual thing that we are looking at is the Lumintop Tool AA. Tool's the model, and AA signifies the type of battery that it runs. Now, this is the version 2, so a lot of people may be familiar with the version 1, which is highly popular. I don't own any Lumintops, so I'm looking forward to looking at this. It's a Chinese brand. I presume that's the moon with a rabbit in, you know. Interesting to see what we've got here. Lumintop Tool AA. Although it doesn't signify in here that this is the version 2. It is, and I bought it as version 2, and I've checked that, and it should actually be version 2. So if I can get into this, of course, everything's sealed up these days, isn't it? So let's get in there. Now I'm looking forward to this because it's quite interesting. Not only does it take a AA, it also takes a lithium-ion battery. But we'll get into that in a moment because you're going to get differing outputs depending on what you choose to use. So let's see what we get in the box. So there's the little rabbit, speaking in Japanese at the top there. Okay, very interesting. And then this is in English, just saying, if you want to slag us off, get on Twitter, which I probably won't do because I'm expecting good things. Oh, now that looks quite nice. So, nice box, nice bit of foam there. Aha, right, lanyard. So the whole point of this is, goes around your wrist. They're kind of handy. I don't really use them, and there's your little cinching part there. I don't really use them. It just means you can use the flashlight, let it drop and work with tools and gun parts and whatever, and then still back there. But I don't really use them. I'll just put it back in my pocket or put it down personally. But let's just test the quality of this. It's nearly up to OLED standard. It's not quite as soft, but it's certainly as strong. And let's check the end section, because this is always where they fail, this part here. So let's see. Nope, that's not coming out. Fair enough. It's coming out a little bit, mind. But okay, it's still working. I wouldn't use that, but it's nice to see you get that. Now, what's this? Ah, now that's interesting. I think I know what this is, but I'm going to put that to the side just for a moment. We'll discuss that with the actual unit. I just want to see what's in the box first, and there's the unit, which I'll put to one side. So get rid of that rubbish. What else do you get in here? Right, O-rings. Now, they're tiny little O-rings here, but obviously O-rings need to go between two machined threaded parts. The whole point of that is, as good as a threading system is, and as tolerant as you manufacture that, water ingress is going to be an issue. So in order to improve water protection, you use a piece of rubber between the two machined parts. So nice to see you get two free ones. A lot of the Chinese manufacturers do that, although some of the higher end ones don't, which I get annoyed at. So nice to see that. Thank you very much, Lumintop. Right, what's this? Lumintop version 2. So there you go. So it is the version 2, and then that's Chinese at the top there. Okay, so there's your IPX settings. So I'm going to memorize this, even though it's in Chinese. In fact, is that Japanese or Chinese? Okay, it's in Chinese. Yeah, Japanese. Okay, and there is in English. So if you don't want to get a job as an interpreter, you do get it in English there. So I'm going to memorize that, blah blah blah. Fantastic. Okay, so put that to one side just for the moment, and then there's a little warranty card. Nice to see, and they do seem quite a confident company when it comes to workmanship. They will guarantee stuff for a number of years. Nice to see. Right, put that to one side just for a moment. So let's describe what it is here. So nice small unit. Bear in mind it is a AA. If you compare that to one which I carry on my keyring daily, this is an EDC. As you can see from the paint coming off, this is a AAA. So very small. So very, a little bit bigger in comparison. But it is a tail clicker. Now tail clickers, you end up with a longer sort of height, and it uses up more space. So nice to see, but there's some nice features on there that I want to go through. So let's go through the basics first though, okay? So Lumintop Tool AA version 2, and now this comes with a 1.5 meter drop rating. So in other words, if this is 1.5 meters up and you drop it onto, for example, concrete, boom, it should be okay. So the company is confident in its design that this should be okay. Now generally you need enough of a lip so the glass won't break and things like that. And that looks like a nice clear glass with a smooth reflector there, nice to see. And it comes in an IP68 rating. So IP just stands for ingress protection. In other words, how are you going to stop things getting in? So IP68. The 6 stands for dust. it's going to stop basic dust getting in. You've got your O-rings and everything there, not a problem. And the 8 means that it's technically waterproof to a point. So for example, as long as this is screwed up properly and you've got both O-rings intact and you drop that in up to 2 meters of water over the top of it, it's going to be okay for about 2 hours. After then, water can start creeping in and things like that, and temperatures can have an effect. But IPX8, I like that. I'm a big component. I really promote that. I like IPX8. It just means if you drop it, you don't have to worry. If it's peeing down, you don't have to worry. I like that. That's just something I like to go for. I know other people say, well, you don't need that sort of rating. They've got a point, because how many people stand out in the rain? Not many. But if you're forced to do it, I don't want to have to worry about a flashlight, so it's nice to see. So like I say, it uses a AA battery, and I've got one knocking about. So here's one. So there's a Duracell AA, and best before 2025. So I best hurry up and do this review. Okay, so that's a standard AA battery with what looks like some sort of alien blood on there, but I'll take that off. Okay, so pop that down. And we'll put this in. Now, while I check this, a little bit of noise there, but that's fine. Sometimes I mention noise and people say, what's he talking about? It's just, it tells you about the quality of the metals and the machining. But that feels nice and smooth, and you can see the O-ring there between the two parts. No problems there. Let's have a look what we've got inside here. So there's your spring. I'll just have a feel of that. Very weak spring, but you don't need a heavy spring at this gauge of battery, I would suggest. And there's your metal there, no problems. The clicker feels nice and affirmative and firm. And one of the things I quite like clickers for is the fact that because it's slightly recessed from the rest of the body, you can't accidentally turn the flashlight on. Generally at this size it's not an issue, but it can be on larger flashlights. So for example, this one here, you can knock the button on, which you don't want. You don't want to knock the button on. It ruins the battery out. And what happens is you're busy all day, and then when you get to camp, right, at ease, everybody, brilliant, I'll just get the flashlight out. Time to go for a pee. Oh, I'm going to have to go for it in the dark and get attacked by a bear because my battery's run out, and you've got to pester your buddies for batteries, and it's a nuisance. So I like a tail clicker for that reason, not just the fact that you can hold it like that and operate it like that, but I prefer it, even though you're going to get a little bit of extra length because of it. So we'll pop this in, and you can see down there, it looks pretty decent. There's a button top adapter down there, so plus to the bottom there, and then pop that in. So we'll go through some of the other things. Like I say, you can also use, in fact I best take it out so you can see the difference. You can also use a lithium ion. Now look at the difference. I want to go through this in quite a bit of detail later on, because most people will just see that and they only know that, and they're not a flashaholic, and they don't understand what a 14500 battery is. A 14500 battery is specifically, it's almost the same. It's a little higher. If you see the height difference at the top here, a little bit bigger, and you're able to pump more voltage through. With that in mind, it means you do not use this on a normal AA flashlight. If you use this on a normal AA flashlight that doesn't have the ability to use them, you're going to break it. Okay, so please bear that in mind. There's a danger there, so we'll put that to one side. So we'll pop this in for the moment before I go through the figures. So let's talk about how you operate this, and then we'll look at the reflector. So you can see it's a smooth reflector there. I would have preferred maybe an orange peel. I mean, I'll quickly go through it. I like to go through these things. I know people complain, but we'll just go through it very quickly. So generally you have here's your battery cell and a flashlight, then your PCB and your LED, and then you want light to transmit into the world. Now how do you want to transmit that light into the world? You ask TrailTrek. Well, I'll tell you. There's a few methods, the three main ones. Now the first one is a smooth reflector. So you simply fit a reflector over there. So what happens is the LED fires its light out. That's your spill. And then for your spot, you've probably heard the term spotlight and things like that, is the bounced light. It's directed. So it's directed in a manner that you prescribe. So for example, let's have a look. This is a smooth reflector. So we'll turn this on and change the mode there. So can you see what's happening here? You've got a couple of distinct sort of areas. In fact, let's turn that up a bit there. Okay, so you've got a few distinct areas. So what you've got is you've got your spill here. Ignore this tiny little bit here, but you've got your spill here, which is the light directly from the LED, and then there's your directed light, which is your spot. Now can you see the problem with spots? it's obscuring detail. See on this E, it's obscuring detail. So when you have a smooth reflector, it's all about how can you get that light to go as far as possible. That's where the term spotlight comes from. So you're trying to transmit a long way, and to do stuff close up, you're going to use this light. Now the way to get rid of that is you obviously you can turn it down a bit. So I've turned it down a bit there, so it's less obscured, or you can pull back. There you go. But then of course you're not getting as much light. The other way around that is to use an orange peel reflector. So an orange peel reflector is exactly the same as this, but the reflector has sort of pits and aberrations. It's not perfect. I'll give you an example of that. So here's the M3, which I sometimes carry. Now can you see the difference? Here's the smooth reflector, very smooth. And then that one, you can see, has little pits in it. It's literally like an orange peel. That's the best way of explaining it. Now what happens with that is, if I turn it on and turn it down to a sensible level, right, there you go. Okay, so you can still see there's a spot, but you see how detail isn't obscured. You see when I put it on that E, it's not obscured. Even though I'm quite close here, as you can see, it's not as obscured. There's less of a definition between the spill and the spot. In other words, I'll draw a picture. Instead of getting a smooth reflector, so if we fire this at a wall, there's your spot and there's your spill. Instead of having these two zones, there's more of a transition. So when you use an orange peel reflector, it's transitioned into the two zones. So you're obscuring detail less. Now the downside with that is you're not going to transmit light as far. But the plus side is you're not obscuring detail. So it's do you want a smooth reflector to go further, which is fine for this, or an orange peel reflector, which is more for close-up? So it's a bit of a strange choice. Maybe they just wanted to try and get this to go further. I don't know. I would have gone for an orange peel reflector because in this range, in this output, you're not going to go for range. So strange choice, but hey, I haven't, it's all up to the manufacturer. There's no real right answer unless it's a specified need, like really close up, for example. So if you want really close up, here's the Claris Mini one, and this has a TIR lens rather than reflector. So even on full there, I've got that on full. You see how the transition's beautiful. You can't even really differentiate a spot, or I can't anyway, especially not through this camera. So what's happening there is, instead of having a physical reflector, you save space. There's your LED. All you do is over the top of it. Now this isn't an empty space, this isn't a reflector, it's a solid piece of plastic. It's a solid lens, TIR, total internal reflection. So the lights bounce around within the medium with very little loss of light during the transmission. And then using different patterns and pits and things like that, you're getting a beautiful even spread of the light. Okay, so this is excellent for close-up. Brilliant. There's no obscuring the detail. An orange peel is good at medium range, I would argue, and a smooth reflector is better for range, but maybe that's what they're wanting to do with this Tool AA. So that's reflectors gone through, because I like people to know what they're getting. So let's go through the different modes here. Now, how do you change modes? Now, there's two ways. It's actually got a rotary action. You've got a rotary action at the front, but you've also got on-off with the tail clicker. Now, the rotary action only comes into play for a certain mode. So in general, you're going to be using the tail clicker. So you can go through the different modes. Now, there's two ways of doing this. You've got on and off, okay, like that. And as you can see, as I'm going on and off, with rapid succession, it's going through the modes. But also you can half press. So if I half press the button without the click, so watch, see the half press? You're cycling through the modes. So there's mode number one. Now, these figures I'm going to give you first are for the alkali battery. In other words, a normal AA battery. So normal AA battery, low, you're going to get 3.7 lumens, which is fine. You know, it's low enough where I'm not going to complain. I would prefer like a 0.5 or a 1 lumen. Reason being is, the whole point of a low lumen mode is you're reading a map, you're not trying to let the enemy see you, or you're not trying to ruin night vision. So you're doing something, but then you're going to turn that off and get on with something. If you ruin your night vision, I know for me it takes me about 10 minutes to get that back. In other words, the eye's adaptation to the low light conditions, even low moonlight and things like that, that's ruined when you get flashed in the face. Right, that's gone. You've now got blurs in the eye and all sorts of stuff. And it also annoys other people if you're out in operations or busy and you accidentally flash your friend in the face. Right, we've got a problem now, so we're going to have to wait 10 minutes so everyone's going to customize again. So that's your first mode. So we'll go through them, start at the beginning. There it is. So low, 3.7 lumens. Now you get 2.5 days out of that. Now that's pretty good off an alkali. And although that's low, I would argue you get a lot done with that level of light there. So the next one, half press again, takes you to medium. Beautiful. So 28 lumens. I think that looks great. You're getting 11 hours, 50 minutes out of that on an alkali. So no problems with that. That's perfect. And then your next mode should be high, which is 140. That looks great. So you're getting up to 140 there, which is way up, starting to get towards the eye light, the O light that I reviewed not long ago, which goes up to 180 on a AAA. So we're getting up there, but this also has a turbo mode. So if you want more than that, half press again, bang, 270. I think that's great. Look at the size of that. This is a AAA, okay, this is the Thorfire AAA. Look, it's actually just a little bit shorter than the AAA and a tiny little bit fatter, but you're getting 270 lumens. I think that's really, really good. And you're getting 21 minutes at that. I think that's pretty good. I think most small lights like this, you should have at least half an hour, because I've told you this story before. I carry this on my keyring. Now, I once went out doing some geocaching or something, and I realised it was starting to get dark, and I had to go back through woodland with very small paths. This kind of saved my life. It took me about 20 minutes to get back, and this gave me just enough power at the level I was using to get back to the car. Without it, I don't know what the hell I would have done, but I appreciate that. So I did discuss this on the Claris mini one. At high level, you're only getting about 20 minutes. I don't think you're pushing it. Whereas this one, you're getting, 20 minutes at turbo, and high, you're getting nearly 50 minutes. And high is more than enough to get you through woodland and things like that. So I appreciate that. So 3.7 lumens on low gives you 2.5 days. Then you've got medium, 28 lumens, gives you about nearly 12 hours. And then high, 140, gives you nearly 50 minutes. And then, like I say, the turbo, 270 at 21. Now, there is a strobe mode, so how the hell do you get to that, you're probably wondering. Well, if you go through the modes fast enough, so low, medium, high, turbo, low, medium, high, turbo, there you go. So you're going straight to strobe, and I'll cover that because it annoys people. So strobe, now this is a guesstimate because the manufacturer didn't actually bother putting some specifications on this, so it's about 140 lumens. It's strange, I don't know why they wouldn't use the 270 lumens, but never mind. But the guesstimate is 1 hour 40 minutes because they don't tell you. But that's how much I would guess you get there. So strobe's handy to have. There is no SOS feature, blinking out SOS. And the other feature, which most people aren't aware of, is if I just let that run for a bit and then turn it off. See this little green gasket here? I'm going to call it a gasket. They call it an O-ring, but it's between the glass and the metal. So what's happening there is it's glowing in the dark, really. So the light's hitting it, and then you see it's glowing in the dark. Handy little feature. I prefer like a beacon light to find things in tents and things like that, but it's a handy feature, but it doesn't last very long, as you can see. But nice to have. So all that's happening there is with glow in the dark stuff like that, light hits it and the energy return is slowed down. That's how glow in the dark works, really. It's a slow return of the photons, well, the energy from the photons, sorry. So that's how that works. So we'll take this out and then we'll put in a non-standard battery, in my opinion. So it's a 14500, so you're getting 850 milliamp hours. But as you can see, you're getting more volts here are going to be pumped through. Now, even though it's longer, as we discussed, it's still fitting fine. But you're going to get a better output. So we'll start at the bottom, So there you go. So now you've got the lithium ion in. It starts at 16, which is a shame because, like I say, that's not a sublumen setting. The way I find round that is, if I'm out on ops or whatever, and you haven't got a sublumen setting, I tend to go for a slit like that. So I hold the flashlight, and you see the slit here? If you're walking along, you get a slit where you can see what you're doing, or if you're looking at a map, you can do it like that, and it blocks out 90% of the light, and it doesn't ruin your night vision. So that's just a tip that I use for non-sublumen flashlights. But It's a shame it hasn't got that, but you're getting that increased output because of the better battery. So 16 lumens, you get 37 hours. Fantastic. Then your next one is medium. So you're getting 85 lumens. You're getting about 6 hours, 9 minutes, I think, which is fine. That's a beautiful output there. Then your high is 360. That's brilliant. For this size, that's a brilliant output. Look at that. I can't imagine you would need more than 360 lumens to do most stuff within a camp or whatever, or walking the dog or whatever. So next one is your turbo. Bang, that's beautiful. Look at the light from that. Everything is illuminated. So with that, you're getting 650 lumens, and that's at half an hour. That's incredible. And then obviously you have your strobe. Now the manufacturer doesn't give you any specs on that, but I'm guesstimating you get 2 hours 40 minutes at 360. So brilliant. Now let's go through what else you get. So you're probably thinking, what the hell's this? Now this isn't a sexual aid. This is actually a diffuser. So if we pop that on here whilst I have a drink of water, that's better. Right, what the hell is the point of a diffuser? Now I've already discussed reflectors and all that. A diffuser does the opposite. So what's happening is it's limiting what the light's doing. So if you turn it on now, you're getting the effect really of a TIR, but you're having to have an add-on. So you could hang that in your camp, for example, and you're getting a beautiful diffuse light. And the added feature bonus on this is, if you turn it off, glows in the dark. So you can, you know, for Halloween and things like that. So I don't know what the glow in the dark does, but okay, it's there as a feature. Excuse me. Right, so put that to one side. Now here is the other add-on. You can lose the ability to have a tail clicker by adding this end. Now you're probably thinking, what's the difference? Excuse me, I must have another drink of water. Right, where was I? Okay, so the added feature of this is it has a magnet in. So if you take that off, pop that back on, oops, you are now able to attach it to metal. So there you go. So you're having to use the rotary action, you see. You're going through the modes via rotary action, but what you can do is it's now magnetized, so you can attach it to metal. It's not very strong though, look. Well, okay, it's getting there. That if you put it in the right position, and this is coated blade anyway, so okay. It's not bad, it's not bad. I don't use that sort of thing, but if you're a fisherman or whatever, it's handy. So version 2, so what you're getting here is you are getting 18% more lumens and about a 15% increase on beam distance as opposed to version 1. Let's give this a mark out of 10. So for the size and the great output when you use a 14500, I'm going to give this I'm going to give this 8.5. Why so high? Solid, feels great, got all the modes. It hasn't got SOS, but you'd never use it. It comes with a diffuser. You've got a magnetic tip if you want it. Handles larger batteries. Excellent output for size. It feels smooth, looks great. I would prefer an orange peel reflector, but I suppose you could argue, okay, you're getting up to nearly 700 lumens. What's the point of having it too floody? You want a bit of projection. Okay, yeah, I'll agree with that. And you've got a clip there, which feels pretty solid, and it has machined holes in, which gives you other options on how to attach it. And obviously you can reverse this. You see it's removable. So you can take that off, put it round, and you can stick it on caps and things like that. I'm going to give this 8.5. I really like it. Decent price. I mean, comparing it to the competition in this arena, I think there's too many small flashlights, but we'll just quickly go through them. So you've got the Through Night TI3. I carry that all the time. It's only a AAA. I might swap to this actually because it's got so much more output for not that much bigger. So there's your other option. You've got the Jet Beam Jet U, which is very similar to the TI3. It's a bit more cool white and it's got a TIR lens, but you're getting about 120. You're both getting about 120 lumens depending on which model you get. The A01, By Astrolux, similar output. That's got an orange peel reflector, but you're not getting the same sort of level of output as the Lumentop. Claris Mini one, you're not getting the same output of, you're getting a good output and a nice beam pattern, but look at the size of the battery. It's minuscule. I'll show you. It's tiny. Therefore, you're going to suffer on run time. So there's the problem with that one. I love this one, but run time suffers. And then you've got the Thorfire, which, I still think that's too long for what it does. Sorry, hang on, that's the Oolite. It's so similar to the Thorfire. So as you can see, they're very, very similar. Obviously, the Thorfire, you're not getting the same level of output as the Oolite. The Oolite gives you a great output because of the newer emitter. I really like this Oolite. Nice beam pattern. Excellent 180 lumens. They're very similar. That's less lumens, obviously. These are they're all AAA, apart from that one, obviously. And then, of course, you've got the bigger and boxier ones, like the Tiny by Nightcore, which is a TIR lens, as you can see, like the Claris Mini one. You're getting a lovely diffuse light there, and same as the Astrolux K1, very similar to that, but more heavy. You can recharge these, whereas there's no charging port on this. But that's not my cup of tea. And then, of course, you've got the bigger ones, like the larger jet beam. You're getting a much bigger output. You're getting like 500 lumens from this on high. These are in a different league. You're getting about 800 to 900 from the on the road M3, which I really like. But you've got to ask yourself, that's much heavier than this, and a lot wider. You can feel it in your pocket, whereas you could argue you could kind of put that on a keychain and get away with it. So I'm going to end this before I waffle on any longer, because my reviews are getting longer and longer and longer as my waffling increases. So 8.5, you can use the bigger batteries as well as a standard AA. You're getting the magnetic base, you're getting a diffuser. It's got a glow-in-the-dark gasket. It's IPX8. I love it. Nice tail clicker, and it's even got the raised sections. So what you can do is you can stand it up if needs be, which I really appreciate as a feature. Reversible clip. 8.5. Enough of me waffling. Let's get out here and see some beam shots and a little bit of comparison.